part of the healing work of Christ as Messiah, is to restore our spiritual sight. Jesus says in the Beatitudes, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." And within our hearts, what the scriptures and church fathers talk about as the inner life of a human being, the core of our being, the place where God sits enthroned. So when our hearts are pure, then we are able to perceive God. Recently, somebody asked me a question about how the Orthodox Church understands the nous. That's N-O-U-S, which is a very important concept in Orthodox Christian spirituality. So what exactly is it, and why is it important? So in the Orthodox Church, we teach that human beings are created with 6 senses, not 5. There are 5 physical senses, and then there is the capacity to perceive spiritual realities. Human beings, as we learn in the book of Genesis, are indigenous to 2 worlds, both the world that is seen, the physical world, and the unseen world, the spiritual world as well. And we are able to commune, to have fellowship with both. Our 5 senses allow us to interact with the physical world, our 5 physical senses. And then we have this thing called the nous, which is the capacity within us to be able to interact with, to be able to perceive the spiritual world. When we read in the book of Genesis that Adam was able to walk with God in the cool of the garden and enjoy this very intimate fellowship, that fellowship was possible because his nous was healthy and functioning properly. But in Romans chapter 1, we read that as a result of sin, our hearts are darkened. And specifically in the Orthodox Church, we believe that this means that our Noetic capacity, this ability of the nous to be able to perceive spiritual reality, becomes impaired. In the Gospel of John, we find Jesus healing a man born blind, and we actually commemorate this on one of the Sundays following Easter in the Orthodox Church. And in the hymns of that day, we say that we are all born blind because all of us deal with a spiritual blindness. And when we read in the Gospels about Jesus going to the synagogue and opening the scroll of Isaiah and reading the prophecy of the Messiah, and the part of the work of the Messiah is to give sight to the blind, we understand this to be much more than just restoring physical sight, as amazing as that is, but also he restores sight to all of us. Part of salvation, part of the healing work of Christ as Messiah is to restore our spiritual sight so that we can perceive God. Jesus says in the Beatitudes, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." And within our hearts, and I'm not talking about the organ that pumps blood through our bodies, but I'm talking about what the scriptures and church fathers talk about as the inner life of a human being, the core of our being, the place where God sits enthroned. So when our hearts are pure, when our nous is clear, then we are able to perceive God. So the nous is this capacity within the human being to perceive God. And because of our own sin, our own choices to turn away from God, we deprived ourselves of, but which Christ, as the great physician and as Savior, comes to restore and offers us the possibility of being able to know him in a deep and intimate way and to perceive his guidance, his comfort, his strength every day, every minute, and every second in our world, in our neighbors, and in the throne room of our hearts.
Thanks for listening to this episode of my podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Eastern Orthodox Christianity, but aren't near an Orthodox church, you might be interested in the Fellowship of St. Theophan the Recluse, an online community that I've started for seekers and inquirers all in that same situation. We have members in the U.S., Latin America, the British Isles, Africa, and Australia. For more information, message me or send me an email. Again, thanks for listening today. Until next time, take care and God bless.